Hey guys, in this video I'm going to give you a quick word on how I quit cigarettes even though I smoked cigarettes for over a decade. Well, I tasted my first cigarette when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I remember my friend's mother used to smoke cigarettes and she would always turn it off or throw it out before entering her house. And I recall that me and my friends were playing in front of his house and his mother came in. She took a couple pulls and threw the cigarette out, and they dared me to pick up the cigarette and smoke. And me, I've always been the type of person who was up for a dare, especially at that age. So I picked up the cigarette, smoked, took a half a pull, and coughed my lungs out. I remember that, and that was the first time I tasted a cigarette. Afterwards, in teenage years, I would say about maybe when I was 13, I started smoking cigarettes. I used to steal the cigarettes from my aunt's purse, and I used to just basically take a couple pulls to get a feel for that rush that you feel, that lightheadedness that you feel when you smoke the cigarette, is the reason why I used to smoke in my teenage years. And then after a while, I mean, I didn't smoke every day at that point in time, but after a while I started picking up the habit, because the more the nicotine got in my system, the more urges I obviously felt to continue to smoke. So what I did was, in my teenage years, when I was about 15, 16, you know, at this time in my life, I was a completely different person. You know, I was involved in a lot of the street activities, and I used to consume alcohol and smoke marijuana. And at that point in time, I used to smoke cigarettes to kind of boost what I used to feel from the marijuana and boost what I used to feel from the alcohol. And I used to smoke basically on a daily basis. I used to buy cigarettes, buy boxes of cigarettes every chance I got. And at this point in time, I smoked basically every chance I got. I didn't care what anybody had to say. My mother always tried to get me to stop smoking, and I did a very good job at hiding it from her. But yeah, in a nutshell, I basically started smoking in the year 2000, 2001, more or less. And I remember it was affecting me a lot, but I enjoyed the high, or the buzz that you felt from it. So I continued to smoke. I remember it started affecting me, especially I used to box. I remember I was preparing for the Golden Gloves. I used to box for the PAL League, and it used to slow me down in the ring a lot. Like it messed up my stamina, but I continued smoking. Then I remember that when I used to rush for the train, I used to like really rush up the stairs so I won't miss the public transportation, and I used to like get really winded, and it used to be because of the cigarettes. And it wasn't until about 2011, when I was already in medical school, that I was in the Taekwondo team for the university, and there was a big event, and I was featured in the event as one of the fighters. And me and the person that I was fighting were both cigarette smokers. Like, we would train Taekwondo, and then after the Taekwondo class, we'll go outside and have a cigarette. And we both were like exhausted, and it was embarrassing because we were in front of so many people. Like, we would kick each other, hit each other, and then like basically the rounds that we were fighting each other were spent more time. We spent more time stalling and breathing than actually putting on the show for the people, and it was really embarrassing. And that, and not being so functional, were the things that motivated me to quit smoking cigarettes. Prior to this, I attempted to quit many times, and I had a very difficult time quitting because I would always relapse. Like, oh, I'm stressed out, so I'll take a pull of a cigarette. Oh, I'm happy, so I'll take a pull of a cigarette. That's the thing about the cigarettes, that cigarettes, they mix with everything. If you're happy, you can smoke a cigarette. If you're upset, you can smoke a cigarette. If you're having a drink, you can smoke a cigarette. If you're having coffee, if you're having sex, or if you had sex, if you had no sex, if you're depressed, if you're happy, whatever reason you could find, cigarettes usually could be squeezed into it some way, somehow. So that makes it so much harder to quit. But what made me, or helped me quit, was that when I finally decided to quit, I learned from the mistakes that I made before when I attempted to quit. And the mistakes I made were that I continued to take a pull, especially under different circumstances. Like, oh, I'm stressed out, let me just take a pull. And then once you get that one hit, you're back on the wagon. You know, next thing you know, one pull turns into a whole cigarette, and that whole cigarette turns into a pack. So one of the key things that helped me quit smoking was that when I finally got tired, sick and tired of smoking, and the feeling that the smoking used to give me, I made the decision not to ever take a pull. So the last time I ever tasted a cigarette was December 31st, 2010. And it's now 2019. I haven't smoked a cigarette for over 9 years. So one of the things that helped me not smoke cigarettes is not taking a pull. There's another thing that I used to do, which was I used to take a pull of my finger whenever I used to feel the urge to smoke. And it's kind of weird, it's kind of stupid, but I'll demonstrate it. What I would do is, when I wanted to smoke, I'll just go and kind of get the feeling of a cigarette, even though there is no cigarette. And another thing I used to do was I used to do push-ups. Whenever I got the urge to smoke a cigarette, I would do 10 push-ups, kind of like rewiring my brain that whenever I felt the urge to smoke, I would have to be physically exerted. And I guess the brain was like, hey, I don't want to be physically exerted unnecessarily, so it kind of trained my brain to not smoke. So once again, I didn't take a pull no matter what happened, because if I did take a pull, I'll fall back in the wagon. 2, I would, I guess, take a pull of my finger, and that helped a lot. And also, I would exert myself physically every time I got the urge to smoke. Guys, these are the things that have helped me be clean from cigarettes for over 9 years. I used to smoke Newports, I used to smoke Marlboro, and whatever free cigarette I could get my hands on. Alright, so this is the way I quit. I feel so much better now, and I'm glad I quit because I have asthma. So the cigarettes were like doing double the work on me, both in my pockets and my health. So I hope this helps, guys. So yeah, that's how I quit smoking cigarettes, and I tell you, if I could do it, you could do it. All you have to do is just stay strong. I know it's easier said than done, but the first part of quitting smoking is the hardest. After a while, you get used to it. And to this day, I gotta say, I smell a cigarette and it doesn't even stink, man. It smells like a 5-course meal, you know. So I still get the urges to smoke, but I know and keep in mind the consequences of smoking, and it helps me stay away from it. So, you know, stay strong, and remember, you could definitely quit. Cold turkey worked for me. Maybe the nicotine patch will work for you, or vaping, or whatever other thing you might use to help you quit. But whatever it is, stay strong. You got this, and if I could do it, you could do it. Alright, guys, please share this video with whoever you think could benefit from it. If you have any questions, I'm at your service. Please subscribe, leave a comment if necessary, and I'm at your service. Have a good night. Peace.